was here over the summer. Just two. Just two. Yeah. Yeah, he's 2 years old. My older daughter's 5 and 2. She just started kindergarten. Yeah. It seems like last year. Are you doing the President's Awards or? Allie, okay, just making sure. How you doing? If everybody could start finding their way to a seat, we're going to get started here in a few minutes. If everybody could find their way to their seats, I would appreciate that. Okay, please find a seat, an open seat, please. Okay, we have 8:30. 1 second. Okay, before the president. All right, we are going to get started today. Welcome. It's a pleasure to welcome everybody back to Fall 2019 Convocation. Okay. Once everybody's ready, I'm just going to make a few quick announcements to the agenda. There's some additions to make. So the additions, if everybody's listening, that I have to add to the agenda. One, the social science unit meeting will be in 4121. Social science unit meeting will be in 4121. The counseling unit will be having a unit meeting from 2:30 to 4 o'clock in the library, 5201T. If you cannot attend, WebEx will be available to come in. Please note during the 9:30 break, we're doing President's Awards. Okay, during the 9:30 break, we are taking that time slot to do President's Awards. Buy bananas, buy diapers. I apologize, that's my grocery list for later. so, yeah, I think I have everybody's attention now. So it is my pleasure if I could introduce Doug Scheit to the stand to start off our day. Okay. Unfortunately, the president right now is in traffic, so we're going to switch up the agenda.
Am I using this? Okay. Good morning. So in my regular teacher voice, I will say, let's come together. So thanks to traffic, I actually get to really kick off the school year, which is a real honor for me as provost. And Dan will be here ASAP. I don't know which traffic issue he's at, but we've been there. So we will jump right in. Closer to here. Okay. My apologies. So we'll start right off, and as many of you know, I started here on December 31st, so I've made it through one semester. This is my first fall, and really happy to be kicking off my first real full academic year with you. And so I've had some time with one semester to kind of start along the learning curve and get a sense of the college and begin kind of creating my view for the view from here and the way forward that I think will help us serve our students really, really well. So I want to share with you the way I've been thinking about what we're going to do moving forward, especially this year, and hopefully it'll kind of come together as a kind of a common vision, which is a theme that the president's going to talk about as well. So the real focus that I want to start with is, as the Board of Trustees always does, starting with our mission statement, which focuses all of us on what it is we're doing here moment by moment and throughout our years. And I've bolded what to me is the most important four words: committed to student success. That is what everything about this college, our buildings, our budget, our people, and our time is about. So that's a big idea, student success. What does that mean? So from my office, in my mind, I need to nail that down as a social scientist. That means I need an operational definition. I need to know what it is, how to measure it, how to know when it's present, when it's absent. Social scientists in the room liking that, kind of going, we're tracking with you. So what do we mean when we talk about this hypothetical concept of student success? We further define that. For me, I focus on the four ideas of enrollment, retention, graduation, and outcomes. So we'll be talking more about those ideas. Enrollment, we have to enroll folks in order to move them forward to success. We have to retain them from semester to semester and year to year in order for them to reach their success of graduation, completing their credential, certificate, or degree. And outcomes, most commonly for our students, the outcomes are transfer or direct to employment. So think transfer or employment. But first, I have a couple of announcements that I want to share with you, and then I'll tell you more about what I'm thinking. First thing I want to do is congratulate and say thank you to Joan Castro. Joan is transitioning into retirement, and I say transitioning because she's been kind enough to, although her official retirement date was August 12th, she's been kind enough to stay on part-time for 6 months to help me continue with being onboarded and serve on the search committee for her replacement, and then help orient her replacement to serve the college well. Our office is crazy busy, and my motto has been, Joan knows everything. I think the college should adopt that. As Joan segues onto full retirement, the college will have a real loss, but I wanted to say thank you for everything you've done for the college, and especially for me in the last 8 months, and congratulate you. It's a huge. It's a huge life transition for any of us when we retire, and so it's a happy day. But good luck and thank you again. I also want to introduce Amy Yoder, who is our new Dean of Students at South Campus. Amy, there's Amy, over by the window. So happy to have Amy. You've been here 5 weeks, and so that's exciting. And Tracy Gast was going to shout out and add to the introductions.
Real quick, they threw me for a little bit of a loop when they moved Doug up, but I want to introduce Vern Beatty and Mark Pachalik. They're our new coordinators of campus safety. Hopefully we're going to be moving forward much faster than we have in the past with just me doing this. Vern's going to do a lot of our training. I know a lot of you have been asking for additional training on our run, hide, fight and our emergency preparedness. Mark's concentrating on that. Vern comes from Buffalo PD. He was with our SWAT program for a number of years, teaches at our academy, teaches emergency response. Mark is from Orchard Park PD, Marine Corps, done a lot of emergency preparedness with the stadium. We're very lucky to have them both here. I just wanted you to lay eyes on them to know they'll be out all three campuses doing their thing. Thank you.
Great, thank you. And welcome. And my final announcement, I just want to share with you ever so briefly a couple of organizational changes. In terms of the folks who directly reported to me and previously to Rick, over the summer we've decided to make a few organizational changes. Just some of the a variety of specific offices will now be reporting either to a dean or to one of the vice presidents or vice provosts. You know who you are in terms of it's affecting who's going to click approve on your timesheet or leave accruals and things like that. Also, Dr. Nora Clark, our VP of Student Affairs, took a position at another institution, and so she has gone, and that our organizational change is to then bring the deans of students directly into the provost leadership team, reporting directly to me. This, I think, is a real opportunity for synergy, so that in those team meetings, we have the deans of students and the academic leaders over the academic areas in the same meeting, so that our co-curricular and curricular student experience can be led together by this full team. Also, in terms of the provost's office, when I arrived, we had 4 assistants in the office, and now we have 1.5. Think of that as fiscal responsibility and crazy. But hopefully we will streamline and right-size the office in order to achieve what we need to, the work that we need to do, but also be conscious of our budget. So I just wanted to share that with you so that you would be aware of those changes. And now we'll go back to talking about our most important work, student success. Oops. So I'm going to how do you say this? I'm going to stretch this analogy or this metaphor to within an inch of its life. But what I'd like to do is to think about student success. When I mentioned that this is the work of all of us in every moment, in everything we invest in the college, our budget, our buildings, it's all about student success. And in order to frame that, I'd like to watch a 2.5-minute YouTube video. Admittedly, it's a children's story, but you'll see what I'm going to do with this. So if we can watch that video.
Stone soup. There once was a boy who was visiting a village. He had never been there before and had nowhere to stay and nothing to eat. He had a pot, but no ingredients to put in it. When he saw a villager pass by, he asked, "Excuse me, do you have any food that I could have?" But the villagers here were very poor as well and didn't have much food for themselves, so the villager replied, "Sorry, but no." He asked another person who walked by and another, but no one was able to give him food. Then the boy had an idea. He walked to a river and filled his pot with water. He brought it back to the middle of the village, set a fire beneath it, and dropped a stone into it. After a few minutes, another villager walked by. "What are you making?" he asked. The boy said, "I'm making stone soup. We could share it once it's finished." The man peered into the pot. "That would be lovely." "Now, stone soup with potatoes, that's a real treat," the boy said. The man thought for a moment. "I have some potatoes you could use." He ran back to his home and fetched 3 potatoes. When he came back, there were more villagers with him. The boy added the potatoes to the boiling water. "If only we had some carrots," he said. "I have carrots," a woman said, taking off to get them. "And we have meat. Would that be good in stone soup?" a girl asked. The boy said, "Of course, of course." The girl brought him the meat. Then someone else brought spices, and another villager brought cabbage, and eventually everyone from the village had contributed one small thing. When it was finished, they all shared the soup. They ate until they were completely stuffed. As everyone headed back to their homes, the girl came up to the boy. "Could I buy your stone?" she asked. "I would love to make this soup again and again." The boy pulled the stone from the cauldron and handed it to her. "You can have it for free, but you should know it wasn't the stone that made the soup wonderful. It was all the villagers coming together to make it." Thanks for watching.
So I'm sure my analogy is shrouded in mystery. So this story begins with the villagers were poor, and the boy arrives in the village, and he's hungry. But our village is poor as well. We have a number of resources that are in short supply. We have a declining number of high school graduates in Erie County. That's true everywhere in New York State except New York City and Long Island. We also have full employment, and full employment is always challenging for enrollments at community colleges because there are less unemployed people looking to retrain and seek a new career path. And what that's meant is we've seen our head count decline in the previous years from 15,000 to 10,000. And that means there's no budget surplus. There's no extra. When we finish the year, we're just trying to break even. And that makes it difficult to invest in enhancing instruction, student services, campus life, professional development, all those things that are less essential than the bare bones of things that you want to do. Think of your household budget. If you're having a tight month, what goes first and what do you have to keep? So when we look at that, not only have we seen that decrease in students over the previous years, you can also see what our future looks like. May's high school graduates were right here after a recent decline in Erie County, and you can see what the next 5 years look like. That's an 8.8% decrease in high school graduates. You can project this out for 12 years because you know who's in kindergarten in every county, in every district. So now everyone's like, Debbie Downer. Can you move that forward? It's not moving forward. Are you able to click it? Apparently we can't afford batteries. The first budget cut was batteries. My previous institution, my president and I used to have a joke that it wasn't a meeting until one of us made a Seinfeld reference. I have to steal them. Sometimes your father forgets to steal them. Seinfeld folks in the room? Okay. Is that the next one? Okay. So that was the future in terms of high school graduates, and of course we also are looking to our post-traditional students. If you look at the blue bars, you can see this is our historical enrollment. The blue are FTE, and you can see that we had a high of about, and this is across the whole year, 11 or 12,000. This is half a year, so ignore that. But it has decreased as well, historically. So this is the trend that we're in terms of the villagers were poor. It has to do with our enrollments, and so we need to be conscious of that. Did I click that? It worked. Awesome. And so they say, this is what this picture is worth, 1,000 words. This is open enrollment on Monday at 5 p.m. Yeah. So, but then the boy had an idea. Now we start stretching this analogy. My 4 stones, remember of student success. What am I going to throw in that pot? I'm going to throw in student success, enrollment, retention, graduation, and our outcomes of transfer and employment. That and $1.50 will get you almost a cup of coffee. So, a stone in water is not great. So with regard to enrollment, a villager named Phil Struble came by. Now, enrollment with outreach, that would be a real treat, I said. Phil thought for a moment and said, I have some texting software you could use. And so this summer, we've been texting and annoying our students. You haven't completed your application. You got admitted, but you haven't done the next step. Gone to orientation, filled out your FAFSA, registered for classes, paid your bill. And that's been really successful. As we want to retain our students across towards success, I said, if only we had some support for our students. We have academic counseling, the counselor said, and we need to get them all the way to graduation. And we have advisement, the faculty members said. Would that be good? Of course, of course. Remember from the story? All right. And then, of course, we have outcomes, transfer and employment, and Deb Schmidt brought us our articulation agreements to our transfer partners, and Juan, and Adiam, and Joanne, and Jamie, and PJ brought high-quality academic programs, which, of course, Fabio helped us out with proving that they were high quality by assessing student learning outcomes with us, because if you can't assess it, is it really there? So one small thing. And eventually, everyone from the village, that would be you, had contributed one small thing. Scott Welchin brought financial aid. Mike Pitkevich brought scholarships. Patrina, Jason, and Amy bring us campus life. Mita brought us Workday. And the enrollment management staff, and this is new, are bringing us the Erie Embrace. You'll have to ask the enrollment management staff about the Erie Embrace, a level of customer service to bring our students in and keep them here and keep them moving forward in a way that should be really supportive of their progress. So student success is our stone soup. I brought you a rock and some water, enrollment, retention, graduation outcomes, but it's what everyone brings in and adds in to the student experience that moves them forward. It wasn't the stones that made the soup wonderful. These stones are just numbers. Enrollment, headcount, FTE, retention rate, graduation rate, placement rate, transfer rate. It was all the villagers coming together to make it. And here's the thing the way I think about this. In any given moment, every faculty or staff member, in every interaction with every one of our 10,000 students, moves the dial either forward, back, or level with regard to student success. Again, enhancing the chances that that individual student that you're interacting with, it comes in and enrolls, is retained, graduates, and moves forward to an outcome. And that happens in every moment, whether we're doing the job duties that are on our job description, or we're just bumping into a lost student in the hallway and helping them find whatever office it is they're looking for. And that all aggregates. It may move, in any specific interaction, it may move the probability that that student bails and walks away going, I can't get over this barrier that I'm encountering, or moves forward. It may be the smallest probability that that person moves forward. But across all of our faculty and staff and all of our 10,000 students, across every moment of every day and all of those interactions, it aggregates to the success that we achieve as a college for each student. So how do we do that? What's the recipe for our stone soup? During the summer, my provost leadership team retreat. We went to Chestnut Ridge Park, very nice, and there's no air conditioning, but luckily we nailed a very nice day. And one of the things we did is we looked back at SUNY Erie Excels and looked at the projects, the strategies that were listed across the 5 years, and picked which of these that are not completed yet do we want to focus on this year, and that has to be a manageable number that we can really say, these are important, they're going to move student success forward, and we can do these this year. So these are the ones that we picked. We want to focus on a number of things that are going to move that dial. We want to talk to our folks who lead our pre-matriculation programs. Broadly speaking, advanced studies, pathways, CAST, those programs that, that serve students that aren't yet matriculated into the college, and have them collaborate with admissions to consider putting some of our materials in front of those students in a way that's appropriate for those programs to enhance the possibility that those students might matriculate and enroll in our college. And by the way, advanced studies is enhancing our presence in Buffalo Public this year, especially in January. And so that is a real opportunity because Buffalo Public is sort of the elephant in our living room. Enhanced recruitment to stopped-out students. We know what our graduation rate is, which means most of our students stop out and do not graduate from here. That means there's a lot of those adults who have some college but not a degree from us that we can reach out to and invite back to consider now moving forward to their degree. We want to streamline the path from inquiry to enrollment. Inquiry, application, and then all the business that students need to do. Orientation, registration, financial aid, pay your bill, buy your books, show up to class. So if we can streamline that, oh, I forgot placement. We're going to look at ways to streamline that and also monitor and reach out to students who are encountering a barrier. And so we've already started some of that with our texting, emailing, and phoning. We should put that under the badgering campaign. In higher ed, we're calling it nudging. Nagging, nudging. If it works and we get students to get their business done so that they can show up on Monday or Tuesday fully able to focus on being in their class, that's what we want to do. And so that idea of concierging students and helping them to get all of those tasks done is something that we want to do. And then once they're enrolled, to continue that sort of attention to supporting our students, counseling and advising our students to graduation. And that may involve reaching out again when someone has a red flag raised, whether it's from Starfish or the bursar, something isn't going well, and intrusively advising them, not just waiting for them to show up and ask for help, but to say, I see you haven't shown up to class in 2 days and someone raised a red flag, or I see you haven't paid your bill. Can we help? Can we help you with that? Be happy to help. And eventually, everyone from the village had contributed one small thing. How can we all contribute one small thing? Here's a challenge that I put out for you. I asked Fabio, I said, well, what's our incoming class in a year? He said, about 2,000 people. 2,000 people might start in a matriculated program. 1%, our retention rate currently sits at 54%. 1% of those 2,000 people is 20 students. If we could retain to next fall 20 extra students, do you think we could do that? Just 20. Get 20 extra students to come back next year compared to what would normally? That would be a 1% increase in our retention rate. We'd go from 54 to 55%. But we have over 80 programs. Now imagine if, and a lot of students, imagine if on average, every one of those programs retained one more of their incoming students. Just one. That one student who looks like they're going off the rails, making those rookie mistakes, missed 2 classes in a row, didn't hand in an assignment, fell asleep, spent their time texting. I don't know, one of those things that you would say, I think something's not part of the recipe for success here. If every program on average retained one extra student, that's a 4% increase. If that went to 2 students, that's an 8% increase in retention. Remember, our retention rate is 54%. Our SUNY Erie Excel's goal is 62%. 2 students on average retained extra per program hits our SUNY Erie Excel's goal of 62%. And that also puts us right in line with our peer institutions. So that's not huge to say, can you retain 1 or 2 extra students this year? Just 1 or 2? And that may mean you in your classes, in your academic programs, or it may also mean you in the functional offices, you have students who need assistance. Every interaction, every bit of support, every bit of help may increase the chance that that student persists and continues into next year. So, and keep in mind, the reason we do that is a student is the most important person ever in this school, be they in person, on the telephone, or by mail. So in closing, please remember, student success is our stone soup. It's what the entire village is creating, and we can operationalize that stone soup or that student success as we need to enroll the student, retain them, move them to graduation, and then move them on to their outcomes. And if we can do that, we're contributing to each individual student's success, the success of the whole class, and last May, Paul Lamanna was telling me that we graduated about 2,000 students last year. So imagine pushing out as a product several thousand students into Erie County who are educated and trained to contribute to the workforce. That's a pretty amazing contribution to our county. And so we can and should be viewed as a tremendous asset, not only to our individual students, but to our county as a whole, in terms of how we move our students towards success, which is also the success of Erie County. And I think, let's see, is that it for me? That's it for me. I hope that you'll join me in making our stone soup of student success this year. Welcome back. I hope it's a tremendously productive year for you and, of course, for our students. Have a great year.
They're just changing over one thing.
Just one.
So just a quick announcement. If you have a vacant seat next to you, can you please raise your hand? We're looking for open
Susan, I
seats.
just wanted to introduce some board. Is Susan
If anybody's looking for a chair, there's open seats next to you.
Is Susan here? Susan? No, I haven't seen her. Just the two of you.
So keep your hands raised. If anybody's looking for a seat, please. So just for a few more seconds. So they are trying to acquire extra seats as well. Right. Right. All right. I appreciate your cooperation. It is my pleasure again to introduce President Dan Hakoy up to the front. I think we are ready to go again. Hopefully traffic wasn't too bad.
Good morning. Welcome back. Before I start, I'm going to go off the schedule just for a brief introduction of our new trustee, Jeff Stone. Some of you may not have met him yet, but he's been a wonderful addition to our Board of Trustees. And Jeff, do you want to say a few words?
Well, I'm just glad to be here this morning and becoming part for the last few months of the SUNY Erie family, and I wish everyone on the faculty a productive year. I thought Doug's remarks were excellent in terms of what everyone can do in a given moment to help all of our students be connected, stay, and succeed. So I look forward to doing my part to help with that, and I look forward to meeting as many of you as I can over the course of my service on the board. Thanks, Dan.
Great. Thanks, Jeff. I don't know if Doug also recognized Chairman Len Lanahan too, but he's also here. And did you want to say a few words to welcome the?
Thanks, Dan. I too like Jeff, and we're thrilled to have Jeff on the board. I'd like to join in with everyone here today and just first welcome you back for the semester. I want you to know that our Board of Trustees is part of the Stone Soup, Doug. We feel we're part of that, and we're on board for the key objective, which is student success. That's why we're here. Board of Trustees are a bunch of citizens who are volunteers, but we volunteer because we care about what goes on in this institution. Just a quick story. My daughter, Emily, has been mentoring a student in the Big Sister, Little Sister program. I think it's called Big Sister, Little, whatever. And the person she's been mentoring for the last 8 years is now a student this fall, starting here at ECC. So we are invested in her success. We want this school to work so Shauna can have a better future. So we're on board for the mission. We're happy to be here. We're happy about the start of the semester, and let's go to work. There we go. Thank you.
Thank you, Len. It was very nice of Doug to name the SUNY Erie soup after our new trustee, Jeff Stone. So this is my third fall convocation, and just as a refresher, thanks to the work of Paula Sandy and our marketing department, we were able in our first convocation to start the rebrand of Easy Credit College to Erie as a place of efficiency, relevance, innovation, and entrepreneurship. And last fall, we started our SUNY Erie CARES initiative, where CARES stands for Compassion, Accountability, Racial Equity, Excellence, and Students First. And thanks to Tracy Cleveland and HR, we've been able to flesh out, and they should be on your tables, what the values are. Now, it's very important in terms of a new organization or a rebuild to be able to identify the values that become the foundation of the institution. So these are essential in defining who we are as an organization. So this year's theme is Shared Future Common Vision. If you recall, in my first year, we were able to pass the first balanced budget without raising tuition or fees in 6 years. And we did the same the second year. And we did this by becoming more efficient. So we started at the top by reducing my cabinet by several positions. And thanks to Penny Howard and her monthly reforecasting, we have been able to stay on budget the past 2 years. But the world is changing around us. So we know nationally the pipeline of high school students is quickly diminishing. So families are having fewer kids. And we have had historic lows in unemployment, right? 50-year lows. And a few months ago, Trump has proposed reducing higher education support by $7.1 billion, right? And so this will impact the ability of students to come to SUNY Erie, which will reduce our tuition revenue. And higher ed continues to be a place of great disruption. So I just want to share one example with you. So Outlier is a company that was started by the same person that started MasterClass, right? A highly successful online program. What they're proposing, and it starts September, that's next week, right? All the GE courses that we teach, they will be providing, so calculus, psychology, et cetera, right? This is university credit backed by the University of Pittsburgh for $400. That's less than our price point. They're being taught by the rock stars of the field, right? So this is a sea change, and things will continue to change. Oh, by the way, you can't see this, but your money, your $400, will be refunded if you don't complete the course. So these changes that we're seeing nationally has impacted our enrollment, right? And so this is enrollment for the past 5 years. So we're anticipating a 5% drop this fall, and we're right on target for that. So we have to make up for that lost enrollment tuition, right? And so there's 3 legs to our funding pillar. The first is the county, right? Our county supports us right now at 18% of our operating budget. And we're hoping, we asked the county for additional funding because we fall on the bottom half of SUNY community colleges. Some community colleges get funded by their county more than twice what we do, right? So we've asked for an additional $1 million just to get closer to the midway point. In terms of the other two legs of funding, it really has to do with enrollment, both headcount and FTE, which relates to state funding. What we saw nationally in the drop in terms of the high school student pipeline, we're experiencing in Western New York to the tune of minus 13%. That's the prediction for this region. So it's imperative that we pivot, right? We can't continue to rely on high school graduates for tuition revenue. It's essential that we pivot to working adults. And how we do this is by offering abundant online, night and weekend options. Because if you're a working adult, you can't come during the day. Right? So we have to serve this population. So I'm one of 21 presidents that get together on a regular basis. We're part of the Western New York College Connection. There are probably more colleges and universities than is necessary for this population. And that's just a fact. It made sense after the recession in 2010, right? But with a diminishing high school population and historic 50-year lows in unemployment, what happens is if the unemployment rate is low, people are working instead of increasing their credentials. What we saw was a high in 2010 after the recession because there weren't jobs, so people went back to school to advance their credentials. So it's imperative, given that there's 20 other colleges and universities, that we are competitive with them, that we have a competitive product. What's a competitive product? One, it's one of quality, right? It has high standards, it's innovative, it's cutting edge. Secondly, it's cheap, right? It's reasonable for people to advance their credentials with us. And one way in which we're doing it, and thanks for the faculty who are taking this on, is through affordable instructional materials, which allows a student to take a course for no more than $35 with regards to the materials required. And thirdly, why people would come here is because we have wraparound services for our students. Now, another area of growth which Doug discussed was in terms of, or is it in terms of retention, right? So with regards to other community colleges, the blue line is where SUNY Erie is in terms of retention. The next line is all the SUNY community colleges, and the highest line is our peer group community colleges. So we fall below both of these comparison groups, and there is much room for us to grow. So retention is the new enrollment. Right? This is a way to increase our tuition revenue. The longer a student stays with us, the more tuition revenue we get from them. It's also good for the student, obviously, if they're able to graduate. Right? And so this is our 3-year graduation rate relative to that of other SUNY community colleges. Again, we fall below, and it also means there's area or room for growth for us. Similarly, this particular region has also experienced historic lows in unemployment. And so what that means is we have to be really innovative in terms of the curriculum we offer. They have to be related to the jobs of the future. I think the future of the entire region is at stake here. I think we're really at an inflection point. Raising the skill set of this region, that's what we do. We provide people with a higher skill set, and that will bring jobs into the region. So if you recall, I wrote a letter to Jeff Bezos because I knew him from Seattle, suggesting that Amazon consider Buffalo, Niagara, Rochester for their second headquarters, right? And obviously, they didn't choose us. The number one reason they gave for not choosing us and not choosing other cities is the decision was based on the talent pool in that region, right? So overnight, there are 60,000 jobs. That's how quick they need people with the requisite skills, right? So they're looking for places that have an educated population. So one way in which we're innovating and we're pushing the envelope on innovation is what I talked about last time, which is a cannabis campus. Oops. Got it? Oh.
The people of Buffalo are
Third minute.
resilient.
3.
Really interested in furthering the economic development of Buffalo is a bonus.
At the same time, we get an opportunity to also provide further education and help people transition into the industry.
We're going to be working closely with Flora and Roswell Park in developing a curriculum. Everything from the extraction, the cultivation, and the marketing. The idea is to build a factory in which we would provide the workforce or talent to work in that factory. And I think that students will be excited that we are on the forefront of change, and I think that will attract new students to the program.
Flora is also committed to seeding and endowing a nonprofit which will be housed on the campus, and the focus of that nonprofit will receive.
Our participation in this project will bring 1,000 new jobs to Western New York. Oops. Next slide. So what can we do as an organization of 3 campuses, 4 unions, and 2,700 employees? I think it's imperative that we work together. Right? That's essential. And we've been working in silos, and we've been talking about structural changes with Workday. So our SUNY Erie swimmers are some of the best. In fact, we had some national winners last year. People don't naturally swim, right? It takes coordination. It's not the strongest or the smartest. You have to coordinate your breathing, right? Your hand movements, your leg movements, your rotation. The reason our SUNY Erie swimmers are the best is because they're able to coordinate the parts into the whole. And so for us to stay afloat, we really need to work together. So in higher education, we have a very unique type of governance. It's called shared governance, where we together make decisions collectively, right? You have a say, the board has a say, I have a say, right? Students have a say. The flip side of that is we also have a shared responsibility. We tend to talk a lot about our right to have a say, but we're also expected to play a role in terms of personal responsibility. I think it's essential that we become a nimble organization because things are happening so quickly. And being nimble is a value, it's a culture, and it's a mindset. So, there's 2 types of stability on the water, right? Primary stability is when you have flat water and you're able to stay steady on flat water. So if you have an organization with a flat bottom, right, you're able to stay steady when there's no turbulence. But that flat bottom doesn't help you when it becomes rockier. Right? When there's changing conditions, you need a rounded bottom, like in a kayak. And so we need to round out our collective bottoms. which isn't that hard. It's like an extra chicken wing, an extra drink. So what can I do? I think we begin with embracing our students for where they are and who they are, the skill set they come with, where they're from, what their experiences are, what their needs are. We have to begin with where they are. Secondly, we have to know that every single interaction counts. So I don't know if Doug told you this story, because I was late. It's a good role model. So he got a call, or he heard of a story, sorry. So a parent wanted to pay for, I think it was his son, to start at SUNY Erie and wanted to give us money. And the person was sent to 6 different people, right, to get to the bursar's office, including Pat Ryan, who has nothing to do with receiving monies, if you know what he does for distance learning. But we can't continue to do that. That is completely unacceptable. We will not stay afloat. We have to take every student, every parent by the hand, both metaphorically, right, symbolically, and sometimes physically, to get them to where they need to go. All right, so we absolutely need to collaborate. We need to work together, right? We need to cooperate. Ergo. Did Doug explain ergo? Yes? No. Oh my goodness. So ergo is Latin for therefore, but it also stands for, I know you have some acronym fatigue, right? Because I do this, but what does E stand for? If you were listening, this is the test. If you're listening to Doug, what does E stand for? Enrollment. R, retention. Graduation. Good. So right there you go. You pass. Great. Therefore, because we have a shared future and a common vision, it is absolutely essential that we have a sense of mutual responsibility and a collective mindset. So welcome back, and thank you very much.
Thank you very much. So just a quick announcement real quick. Blue Cross outside in the lobby wanted just to mention that they are giving out lunch bags until 10 a.m. So if you didn't get one, please grab one in a few minutes. We are going to move into the President's Awards. We're actually a little ahead of schedule. So for the next 10 minutes, if we could stay around, and we'll do President's Awards real quick with HR.
Super. Okay, so I will be reading this. This is the first time I'm seeing this. So now we will be honoring people with the President's Award. And this is to distinguish and honor faculty and staff of the college who exemplify and promote the professionalism and standards of our SUNY Erie Cares initiative. So this is someone who has demonstrated both skills and a positive attitude in carrying out their day-to-day duties and strives to maintain and improve working relations with other faculty and staff. So these awards are for people who have gone above and beyond the call of duty. And each of these nominations were endorsed by the SES staff overseeing the area in which the employee was nominated, and then reviewed and selected by the President's Cabinet. So, it is our pleasure to announce our lucky 13 President's Award recipients. The first 2 groups will be called by department. So these 5 individuals are being honored for going above and beyond with our Workday student project. Workday Student is fast-tracked to deliver services to students and optimize staff resources. Congratulations to the following individuals for providing exceptionally innovative and efficient services to stay relevant in today's workplace. So I want to invite the following people to come up. Pat McNair. Teresa Golan. Rob Elnicki. Dave Arlington. Saeed Dakil Rivera. And Jason Chow. Let's give them a warm round of applause. All right. Photo time. Are you taking pictures? Great. Thank you, everyone. The next group of awardees hail from Information Technology Services. These staff members are constantly innovating business processes to deliver services to our SUNY Erie community in an efficient and accountable manner. The President's Award is being given to Tom Driscoll, Steve Hotchkiss, Joe Lundeen, and Sarah Phillips for going above and beyond in their department. Congratulations. Let's give them a warm round of applause. Great. Thank you. Okay, wow. The first staff member honored individually today has been with the college for the last 5 years. In this time, he's worked hard to manage a large staff through complex processes to promote optimal health of the college. Over the last year, his team has leaned on him for his strong managerial and leadership experience to ensure the college's new student enrollment stays strong during tenuous times for community colleges. Simultaneously, he has made a point to be deeply immersed in the Workday project. He has been a strong leader throughout the process, ensuring that every step of the turn, the ERP project remains focused on students and their ability to enroll. Congratulations to Phil Struble. Okay. Why don't you stay up here? The next individual has put a considerable focus on her development as a leader, which is demonstrated in all her staff interactions. She looks at problems from all angles, which has been a strength in working to convert the office to Workday. She is a true professional and an excellent leader. Congratulations to Brittany Benson for receiving the President's Award for Outstanding Service. The next individual has been instrumental in streamlining the admissions department. From helping to implement and maintain the college's CRM system to currently working on Workday conversion, she has been able to lead the admissions office down a more efficient path for our students. She is also a true professional and an excellent leader. Congratulations to Raquel Ramsey for receiving the President's Award for Outstanding Service. Congratulations.
Thank you very much.
Great, All right, let's give them another round of applause. What you want to do?
The final President's Award recipient goes to a special individual who also retired this summer after years of dedicated service. Joan Castro's former supervisor, Rick Wachowski, shared that Joan's compassion for students speaks for itself. She always finds a solution. Her humanism towards all at the school and community is to be commended, and there is no better person at SUNY Erie. In addition to Joan Castro's superior service for years before my arrival, in various offices and most recently in the provost's office with Rick Wachowski, Joan has been invaluable in my first few months. Joan smoothed the transition from Rick to me, keeping the business of the college running smoothly and orienting me to the procedures of SUNY Erie. I have that saying in my office, Joan knows everything. Joan Castro has been a great resource in my first now 8 months, and she has graciously agreed to stay on part-time as we search for and then onboard her replacement. Congratulations, Joan, and thank you for all that you've done for SUNY Erie.
Great. I encourage you all to participate in nominating a colleague for the President's Award. Your nominee can be your subordinate, a coworker in your own department, or a nomination across departments. Nominations can be for individuals, for a group, or for a shared project or initiative. Presentation of the awards will take place in the fall and spring convocation. And I hope you stay for what we anticipate as an incredible training on diversity today, which is part of our SUNY Erie Cares initiative.
Thank you, President Hukoi. My last name is spelled Higgins, if anybody wants to nominate me for anything, but that's separate. But we are definitely ahead of schedule. We are going into our break time, 9:30 to 9:45. Congratulations to the award recipients a few minutes ago. So thank you to our ASE staff and Marianne for getting our breakfast refreshments out this morning and our lunches soon. So let's move into break. We are going to reconvene at 9:45, please. So we have a 15-minute break till 9:45. Thank you.